What's going on, my fellow A-plussers? Welcome back once again to a brand new episode of A Plus More Phenomenal, your stop for your Power Rangers and Super Sentai review and news right here on our Facebook page, A Plus Opinions. As always, ladies and gentlemen, it is I, your more phenomenal host, Adam Perez. We are, in fact, back once again with a brand new episode. As always, it is, in fact, Super Sentai Mondays around here. So you know we're about to get into some Kiramager review. That's right. We got episode number 17 for you guys here. And I got to admit, man, after watching this episode, we're building towards something. We are building towards something, possibly our next big story arc here for Kiramager, one that I cannot wait to certainly see how things kind of unfold, especially after we did our A Plus More Phenomenal live episode that we usually do every Saturdays at noon Central Time. We talked heavily about some of the brand new Kiramager scans that were in fact revealed, giving us maybe some insights into what could happen to Taka and possibly maybe the reveal of the princess, or excuse me, I should say the queen of planet Crystallia. So we're starting to see little remnants kind of tossed in here in this week's episode. And so I'm really looking forward to certainly see what is up next for Kiramager certainly going forward. But make no mistake, this episode is certainly a building towards something, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm really excited to get into this week's episode with you guys. As always, listen, hey, feel free. Again, these are always just my A plus opinions whenever I break this down. But of course, at the end of the day, I definitely want to know yours. So if you have had the opportunity to go ahead and check out this week's episode of A Plus More Phenomenal, or excuse me, I should say of Kiramager, please let me know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen. So certainly feel free to go ahead and do that. I don't know if we have anybody in our live chat today with us or any comments as of yet, but listen, I'm pretty sure we'll have some stragglers along the way here. So feel free to certainly let your thoughts be known about this particular week's episode. But for me, when it comes to Kiramager this week, I love the fact that we just sort of dive right into the action. The idea of just jumping into sort of a Megazord battle is something that always satisfies me whenever we come into either Power Rangers or a Super Sentai episode, because you really showcase, and like for me, I feel like that's just sort of, it really sets the tone for what you're going to get for the remainder of the episode, and it didn't disappoint. So we just dive right into the action here this week. We wind up having a Marsk beast that's clearly giving our Kiramager some problems here. But the big question that they have to ask themselves is, where is the Marsk, right? Usually we have our Marsk monster, but this week they immediately just start jumping right into the beast. So that is definitely a question that we come to find out later on here in this week's episode, as we wind up having a whack-a-mole Marsk of all things in here. I mean, talk about the idea of gaming, right? This really goes to showcase just why Tommy Tomo is really so important here in this week's episode. But I got to give, look, listen, I love, for some people it may be corny, some of the Marsk designs that we have, but I really love just a classic throwback to, just the older Super Sentai seasons that we used to have, right? I mean, granted, we used to have, those elaborate costumes and things like that. But if you go back to some of the really old school Super Sentai stuff, some of the villains look just like this. The fact of having capes, human bodies, but just with the masks, if you will, and it grows on me each and every week. So it doesn't matter how corny the villain is for the show. It still tickles me, to be quite honest with you, just because they do those throwback villains in here. So even though we have a Zord battle in the beginning, it is kind of cut a little bit short. We see our Kiramagers go back to the command center in here, where Moryu kind of explains the idea that the drill gene that is the mecha, I guess you can say, for Kirame Silver is in fact a Grand Guardian. Now, this is something that everybody's like, oh, now you want to tell us, Moryu, right? Like, we really could have used this drill gene Grand Guardian during this battle, right? But he does go ahead and lets us know that unfortunately, the drill gene just can't get to where it needs to, simply because of the fact that it needs a power source. And that power source is, in fact, the silver Kirame stone. So before it can even get to its Grand Guardian mode, it's still in just this regular drill gene mode. Now, I'm glad that he clarified this, though, because I think when we talked about it here this past weekend and we showcased the scans for the upcoming King Express Zabiun, one of the questions that I had was, I'm kind of curious as to whether or not the Zabun going forward is going to be one of the grand designs or the grand guardians, right? That's or the Titan that I believe Garza kind of referred to it as. But it seems as though the drill gene certainly is one of those. And I think we were kind of just figuring out if it was either of those, maybe it's both of those, who certainly knows. But I'm glad that Moryu at least gives us some confirmation here as to what the other Grand Guardian certainly is. We also come to find out in here that he's immediately interrupted by a injured Taka, who clearly has found the treasure that he was certainly looking for. And this really sort of sets us on our path here for this episode. And so I do want to talk a little bit about just the team up that we wind up having between Tomitomo and Taka in here, because Tomitomo is in fact the one that Taka certainly needs, wants to go ahead and request this help. We did see in here that Takamichi, for the most part, continuing to do his treasure hunting through his journal, winds up finding a manor, and this manor that is supposedly holding this treasure for him. In order to get this treasure, he's got to complete several types of games in order to go ahead and get it. And so what better person to go ahead and get for your gaming than Tomitomo, the man who is just a pro at anything video games or game related. And I love the team up in here. The idea that they even design a brand new weapon, I guess you can say, for Tomitomo, bringing Juro along for the ride here to go ahead and use his insparkalization to go ahead and create something brand new. But listen, they even skipped all that this week. Juro already shows up with like the schematics and his drawing and stuff as to exactly what he wants Tomitomo to certainly go ahead and, or I should say the gemstone and Chevello to go ahead and create. And they wind up creating a fantastic hammer weapon for him, a weapon that honestly, when I think about it, I immediately go to Omega Ranger Yellow from the Boom Studio comic books. I believe it's Trini that has a weapon that's very similar to that. Long handle with the hammer at the tip of it sort of thing. That's the first thing that pops into my head when I saw the weapon. The second thing that popped in my head was, I believe it was Scott Pilgrim versus the World, if I'm not mistaken. His girlfriend has a very similar weapon to that also. Again, the gigantic hammer with the long handle. And I love the way that it was used in here. Getting the opportunity to see Tomitomo using it for the whack-a-mole and things like that throughout this episode. I thought it was a brilliant weapon, and I honestly hope that it's something that comes back. Now that Juro has kind of created it, I'm hoping that it's a combination that easily Tomitomo can call back at any particular point in time. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that Tomitomo certainly hopes that winds up keeping it. And it does make me wonder if that's where they wind up getting the inspiration for this weapon. I would be interested if Toei would ever come out and admit, like, yeah, maybe we read some Boom Studios comic books. We really love the idea of what Omega Ranger Yellow was rocking with her gigantic hammer. So that's where we got our inspiration. Who knows? But that's the first thing that certainly came to mind when I got to thinking about it. But the one thing that I loved about this Takamichi and Tomitomo partnership that we wind up getting is, you know, I feel like the past few episodes, especially ever since Taka came onto the scene, it really has been about the idea of growing him into sort of more of a partner for the Kiramagers, right? Part of the team, not so much as an individual. And so while we have been seeing Takamichi growing in that aspect, make no mistake, there certainly are remnants about Takamichi who is still known for keeping a lot of secrets to himself, not necessarily letting everybody in all at once at the end of the day. And so I love the fact that we get Tomitomo, who kind of really pushes him a little bit to be a little bit more open, right? The idea like, hey, man, we're going out here trying to risk our lives in order to go ahead and help you achieve certainly what you need. The least that you can do is at least be open with us and honest with us about what it is that you're looking for. What is this treasure that's so important to you? And that's something that Takamichi's been keeping really, really close to the vest. But I think it's something that Takamichi has his eyes open to here in this week's episode when he realizes that, yeah, everybody else is certainly doing their part to make sure that I'm achieving my goals, right? The least that I can do is at least not only be honest with them, but put their needs first also. And we see that beautifully done here towards the end of this episode, right? Because, you know, while they do defeat the Marsk Beast this week, and they do go off to go ahead and fight the Marsk monster in their Megazords, Takamichi does have a decision to make, right? The idea of, do I get my treasure, this Granterstone that they mentioned, do I get my treasure, or do I go and save my friends and help my friends? And he makes that decision to help his friends first, which is a really risky move because who knows? He doesn't know if Garza's going to show up to go ahead and take it, right? He doesn't know if any other Jotunheim, Marsh Beast, or whatever the case may be, is going to go ahead and take his treasure. So he puts that risk of losing what he's looking for in order to save his partners and to help his partners out and his friends. And I think it's a really great character growth for him. And honestly, to be honest with you, the idea of Tomitomo using this opportunity to help Takemichi, right? It's something that he agrees to do, but he also talks to the team about it first. And I think that's important, despite the fact that Mabushina is like, clearly doesn't want Tomitomo or anybody to help her brother, because she feels as though Takemichi's kind of doing this in a very selfish manner, in the sense that, you're really only out there to get treasures sort of for yourself. But against Mabushina's wishes, we do see that Tomitomo decides to go ahead and do it. And I love the fact that you get to see just really the mindset of the Kiramagers of, hey, we want this guy to shine, right? We want this guy to succeed, and coming up with alternative plans, talking amongst each other. I mean, it's as great of a team example as you can possibly find when it comes to Power Rangers or Super Sentai, man. Like, I just really love the communication that these teammates have, and really understanding the importance of lifting each other up so that they can be a successful team at the end of the day. So I thought it was brilliant in regards to what they wind up accomplishing here, not only for themselves, but for Takemichi as well. I will say this. We do come to find out that the treasure that Takemichi is looking for is in fact called a Granterstone. Granterstone. Now, while the Kiramagers themselves aren't familiar with this, the gemstones certainly are. And I love whenever Taka drops that name, Chevello immediately knows what he's referring to. And the idea of the Granterstones here is that they're like 4 really rare sort of gems that are kind of just scattered across wherever the case may be. The idea is that when you have all 4 of them, once you have them together, you have the ability to kind of make any wish that you certainly want. It's an amazing treasure that people are out there trying to go ahead and collect, and it seems as though Takemichi is certainly one of those people. I will say, the trope, though, the idea of, like, especially when it comes to Super Sentai, I feel like I've heard this a bajillion times. The idea of, we got to collect these treasures, right? Or you got to get this one article, or this one piece that will grant you any wish that you want to. I feel like something like this just happened with Lupin Ranger versus Pat Ranger. So I feel like it can sometimes be an overused trope, just an overused idea for certain Super Sentai series. But I can't lie, I do love that idea, simply because of the fact that I love the adventure. I love the idea of hunting down for that type of stuff, but it does continue to feel overused a little bit from time to time. So we do find our Granterstone here, exactly what Takemichi was looking for. And I love the fact, too, that when he does finally talk a little bit about it to the rest of the team, I love that their first reaction is worry, because I think that should be your natural worry and concern. When you know that somebody's looking for a treasure that will grant them any wish in the world, I should be questioning why you're doing this. And I love the fact that even Tomitomo's like, hey, man, you're not trying to do some conquest type of thing of the universe, right? Like, I hope we don't have to worry about you. So I think it's a legit question and a legit concern for them to certainly have. And the fact that Takemichi actually opens up, this is where it gets even more interesting, man, because we come to find out here that he's doing this in order to protect his sister, Mabushina. Apparently, according to him, it seems as though she might, in fact, be cursed by some sort of dark energy or some dark entity, or whatever the case may be. But something is clearly putting Mabushina in danger. And I love the fact that while Mabushina thinks he's doing this for his own selfish reasons, we can clearly see that Takemichi is thinking about somebody else through all this. And it is, in fact, Mabushina. And when we are talking about Mabushina and see her in here by the end of this episode, we even see her holding on to what looks to be her mother's tiara, the queen of Planet Crystallia, hinting at the idea that something's happened to her. And this is what we talked about when we looked into the scans. We've seen everybody else in the family, for the most part, right? The father and King Orden, the uncle in Garza, the brother in Takamichi. Where's the mother? What happened to her mom? So I'm really curious to find out what happens to the Queen of Crystallia. We get to see her tiara in here, and it winds up linking up. They wind up editing it perfectly with Takamichi talking about the idea that Mabushina seemingly has some sort of curse, and maybe it seems as though he's trying to collect these treasures in order to go ahead and save her life at the end of the day. So really compelling stuff. The episode wasn't like, didn't blow me away or anything like that, but this show tends to do this. While it may not be the most incredible episode you've ever seen, they do have a way of dropping some amazing nuggets that really just kind of gets your mind going as to what's coming up next. And it really makes you think. And so I honestly love how the show is certainly handling itself, allowing us to have questions, but at least giving us some really great content, certainly along the way. Again, not every episode. I feel like there's maybe been like 2 episodes that I felt have been okay, pretty good. But I feel like for the most part, when it comes to this series, I'm blown away by it. Like I cannot stop watching this show. I think they just do a really good job of handling the pacing. And I think that is definitely important here, because again, I do think that we're building up to something. But let's not make any mistakes here. Trying to get this Granterstone is no easy task, because I do want to talk a little bit about Garza and Takamichi this week. As I think the Marsk Beast is like, here's a surprise boss battle for you. And Garza shows up to go ahead and handle his business. Great action sequence. I'm a huge fan of just the camera work, the angles that we wind up getting in here. It feels very much like there's a drone on like a camera, like just on a drone that's hovering above them or going under them. I don't know if they're just editing it beautifully with like a handheld camera. I really don't know how they're doing this. Hold on one second. Sorry, I just wanted to throw on my light because the sun was setting just a little bit. Sun setting, big fella. That's a Black Widow reference, guys. Anyway, but the camera angle blows me away. I remember noticing the camera angle way back in like Lupin Ranger versus Pat Ranger. They really utilized it to perfection back then. I saw it a little bit in Real Soldier, and every once in a while here in Kiramager, it does pop back up, but it is a great camera angle that I absolutely love. It just makes the action look so much more dynamic, like you're right there in the middle of this action, and it looks great. There is a quick honorable mention. There is a great scene in here in this fight where Garza knocks the shiny breaker out of his hand. Now, mind you, this feels like it's very much an unedited shot. It feels like it's done just all in one scene. So when he loses the shiny breaker and it falls, the camera continues to move around. And if you watch it, he calls the shiny breaker back. And unlike in other scenes where it just comes back like it's his hammer or something, like a Thor's hammer just comes back into his hand, it honestly looks like somebody just threw it to him off the screen, and he's like tries to jumble it back together in his hand, sort of thing. It looks hilarious to me, but it was a great catch, honestly, and it was just so seamless. Like I literally had watched this episode like 2 or 3 times to honestly notice it, but it was amazing. But make no mistake, Garza is here for a reason. He gets an attack in that winds up flooring Taka, who tries to brush it off as though the damage it didn't bother him. But make no mistake, the damage is done. I honestly felt like this is a complete setup from Garza. This is exactly what he wanted, and has now sort of seemingly infected Taka or Takamichi with some sort of dark energy, it seems like, right? The fact that Garza gets in his blade slash and then just bounces whenever, immediately after that. Make no mistake, Garza knew exactly what he was doing, a complete setup, and this is definitely going to go ahead and lead us into next week's episode. And again, back to the Kiramager scans that we talked about this past weekend, seeing sort of an evil version of Takamichi going forward. So I love Garza. Smart guy, doesn't just do anything without purpose. I love just the personal conflict, like just the family drama that this series has wind up giving us. And I continue to really be fascinated by the connection between Garza and Takamichi. As we've seen on several occasions, Garza's doing his best to try and bring him over to the Jotunheim side. Like, hey, it's not that bad. Come on over here. It's like a kid with candy. Get in the van, kid. He's trying to really really lure Takamichi in here. And Garza definitely got in the the attack that he certainly wanted to here in this week's episode. And honestly, it does worry me simply because of the fact that after we wind up getting revealed to the drill gene this week in his grand sort of guardian mode, now that we can see what Takemichi can do with this drill gene, this is not an enemy that the Kiramagers want on their hands at all. Their Karamazin is great and all. They've got some great additions to the Karamazin, but trust me, their Karamazin does not want to go ahead and face off against Drill Gene in his Grand Guardian mode at all. So let's talk a little bit about that in regards to the Drill Gene, because we do see here that Takemichi decides to help the Kiramagers grab his stone first. Risky move I put in my notes. And I says we wind up seeing here that while the Drill Gene, in order to become a Grand Guardian, needs the power of a silver Karamage stone. Honestly, when Muryu announced it and dropped that nugget in the beginning of the episode, I was like, isn't that what they used to go ahead and cure Takemichi? Like, I would have automatically assumed that Takemichi would be able to power it. And he's absolutely able to not just power it, but he's actually able to go ahead and transform into a silver Karamage stone himself. So now he's just like the other gemstones. He's just blinking and stuff when he's talking and things like that. I thought it was brilliant, but we wind up seeing the Drill Gene literally pick him up as a stone, put him into the body of the Drill Gene, and we wind up getting an amazing looking mech. I mean, the drill feet, the drill hands, and honestly, I love the fact too that before he even turns into it, he truly understands what he's becoming. He understands that the help of the Kiramagers have helped him get to this particular point in his time, like in his life. Like, I don't necessarily think if Takemichi had not gone through the things that he's gone through over the past couple of episodes, he may not be able to sort of tap into that silver Karamage stone that he certainly needed, that power that was kind of inside of him this whole entire time. But he does give recognition to Tomitomo and the rest of the Kiramagers for really helping him change as a person to kind of help give him this point. So, and that's something, again, that's a realization that Taka can clearly see the change for himself in here when he winds up transforming. So I love the transformation. I thought the action pieces in here with the Drill Gene were great. Quick honorable mention, I love seeing the Karamazin sitting down with its legs crossed during battle. It was the funniest thing. Like, they're taking a break. Like, you know what? You handle this, Taka. You handle this, man. You got the Drill Gene. We're just gonna bask in the glory and see how you beat this Mars Beast ask for us. And I absolutely loved watching it, just because of the fact that it looks so clunky and it just looks so out of place. Like the idea of the Karamazin's legs crossed, because he wasn't just chilling, right? He was sitting Indian style. So the fact that they had to like I'm just trying to think of it from like a production standpoint, right? Like the fact that we have these people in these gigantic costumes, they already look clunky as can be, and you're already thinking to yourself, there's no way the Karamazin would be able to do something like that. So it's like production wise, just to see the idea of them maybe taking its legs and putting them together, and then maybe having this person dressed up in this costume just sitting behind it with his upper portion completely covered. It looks hilarious to me, honestly, and I thought it was great that they at least tried to even pull it off, to be quite honest with you. I don't know what, guys, I'm sorry, I don't know why I do this. I make this overlay each and every week and I never use it because I always forget to click on it to go ahead and pull it up. Each and every time, I got to get better at this. I'm not using the same program that I used to before when we were doing things on YouTube. I was using like a OBS studio when I was doing my live streaming on YouTube, but now I'm using StreamYard to stream over to Facebook and Twitch. So it has like a different format to it. So every once in a while, I put together these overlays, and I just get so into the episode review that I'm like, oh, damn it, I forgot I even put this together to pull this up while I'm talking about the episode. So I apologize about that, guys. But yeah, I thought the Karamazin sitting down with his legs crossed was hilarious. And then also Tomitomo does mention this. He mentions this idea of like he got what he wanted. And I think he was kind of referring to the idea of Taka helping the team first. And almost like he implies that he didn't just do this to help Takemichi out, but he purposefully wanted Taka to be a closer part of the team. That the idea of Tommy Tomo going along with this mission wasn't just for himself, but he wanted to go on the mission so that he can help convince Takamichi to kind of get closer to the team. And it worked. It honestly worked. And that's the one thing that I love about this show is that I feel like every episode you can see a different Kiramager always trying to help out another Kiramager. I mean, I feel like the importance of teamwork is really a huge theme for this show. And I think Juru has done a really great job just within the first 16 or 17 episodes of laying that groundwork, laying the importance of, laying out the importance of helping each other out so that everybody can certainly shine and dazzle and glitter at their finest. And I think that's rubbing off on people, honestly, when it comes to Juro. We've seen Cena do that, and now we've seen Tommy Tomo do that also. So Juro, I think, is an excellent leader, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, guys, overall, I really enjoyed this week's episode. But listen, the Marsk Beast itself wasn't that impressive. The idea of some of the games, like the whack-a-mole, was pretty cool and fun, but nothing that was like, wow, this is great to watch type of thing. But it definitely had its moments, and I think the moments that it certainly had definitely gets me excited to certainly see what episode 18 is going to be. And again, it's enough to certainly keep me fascinated and entrenched in this season to certainly want more, to be quite honest with you. Again, I think this show does a great job with very little, to be quite honest with you. And when you go back to watching something like a Real Soldier season, which I know Real Soldier probably does have some of its fans, but for me, it felt very much copy, paste, print. Like it just felt like copy and paste over, just very simplistic, right? Everything's very surface level. But I've never felt like this show, despite how some of these episodes have gone, has ever been surface level. I always feel like they're always planting something, some character growth, some question to really keep you in tune with this season. So guys, I'm kind of curious to know what you guys think. If you had the opportunity to check out episode number 17, what are some of your thoughts? What stood out to you? What did you love? What didn't you like? Certainly go ahead and let me know your thoughts in the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen. Let me go ahead and jump over here into our comment section. See what some people are saying. So see if we got any familiar faces, some new faces. What's up, Alec? Thank you very much for certainly coming through. Alec, you've been great, man, coming over from YouTube here, also known as Forever Grin. So thank you very much. He says, I definitely smell trouble with Crystallians. Yeah, again, man, I love the fact that this is very much a personal family affair, and it continues to just get deeper and deeper. Now that we know that Mabushina certainly has some sort of curse placed on her, we get to see Takamichi's true intentions of finding out what this, finding these treasures to go ahead and help his sister. I honestly love it, to be quite honest with you. What's up, AJ? We got AJ in the house. He says, is it Saturday again already? Not yet. But I feel like you're probably anticipating another episode of A Plus More Phenomenal on Saturday. I pretty much think that's what you are looking for. Adam says AJ said Adam should be a radio host. He's got the voice. I got the voice, probably not the face. I got the voice for radio, not the face for TV, unfortunately. AJ also says Silver Ranger suit looks sleek. Helmet reminds me of Wild Force Silver Ranger. That's a good comparison. I also loved here. I'm glad that you brought that up about his helmet, because in this episode we actually finally get to see his goggles go down as he goes ahead and transforms into his silver Karame stone, which is it's crazy idea that he even turns into a stone, to be quite honest with you. But based off of what King Oridan certainly did to him, it's definitely not far-fetched. But I love the goggles. AJ says, can we please get an episode where Juro draws himself a girlfriend? You probably don't want to do that because I think L'Oreal will probably have some pushback. Speaking of which, what's up, L'Oreal? Good to see you. I appreciate you coming through as always. Says, I love this episode. I'm certainly glad that you did. Tommy Tomo is a dingus, but I love how he put Takamichi in his place. You also say that your favorite part was Juro's picture, which is exactly what I talked about when we were doing this. I was like, if anybody's going to appreciate Juro's picture, it's going to be L'Oreal. She says, making the stones double as weapons was a great idea. I'm glad that you brought that up. Because you say he should make more weapons out of the gems. I love that idea. I truly do love that idea. Again, we go back to the idea of Omega Ranger Yellow from Boom Studios that Ryan Parrott and Danielle Denoculo wind up doing. They've got some amazing weapons, and the hammer honestly reminds me of Omega Ranger Yellow's hammer from that time. So I honestly hope that Juro uses those gemstones as other abilities or other weapons also. You said for Cena, maybe Juro should make Mach as a pair of nunchucks. I don't know how that would work, but listen, I'm game. If leave it up to Juro's imagination to figure that out, not mine, right? But I do love that idea. I would honestly love to get the opportunity to see that. AJ says, why do I feel like Kiramager is similar to Bukenger Operation Drive with the treasure jewel theme? Listen, again, that's definitely a continued trope, like a continued idea that they utilize. I feel very heavily in Super Sentai. I feel like we can make several connections of the idea of searching for a treasure, right, or searching for something that gives you sort of that one wish, to kind of give you anything that you certainly want. So you're absolutely right. There definitely are some connections in there. Not Ultra. What's up, Not Ultra, coming through from over on Twitch. Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, if you guys aren't familiar, we do have a Twitch account. If you're looking to follow us, especially on social media, we're right here at A Plus Opinions, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch also. We do have a YouTube page. Our YouTube page is still up right now, but unfortunately, I don't think Toei likes us very much. We have been hit with like 3 copyright strikes. We are continuing to try and dispute those. It's not looking very good, guys. So we are trying to figure out some plans here for A Plus More Phenomenal going forward. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, though, that some of these disputes do come back successfully on our side. But make no mistake, that's definitely not going to stop me for continuing to give you guys great content here at A Plus Opinion. So if you definitely want to keep up with all of our videos, for right now at least, Facebook is certainly the place to go ahead and get all of our videos, and definitely continue to follow us on different types of social media. If anything, if our channel does get terminated by YouTube, I am contemplating the idea of at least maybe trying to take A Plus More Phenomenal and making it its own YouTube standalone channel, and keeping A Plus Opinions maybe overall here on Facebook and podcast form and things like that. So we're definitely working behind the scenes. Make no mistake in regards to making sure our content certainly still has a home for you guys. But yeah, A Plus More Phenomenal may end up becoming something that we do just as an individual YouTube channel. But we'll definitely, again, as always, guys, we'll keep you posted. If not here, definitely on our YouTube page, because we do still post there on our community tab, and at least give you guys post updates if we can't upload original content and things like that. So we definitely will keep you up to date. Shanique, what's up? I appreciate you coming through. She said, I believe that Mabushina's mom is going to make her turn to the dark side. I think she was probably evil and she was killed, which is why they don't mention her. But Mabushina was too young to know, so she's obsessed with her, and Takemichi knows and is trying to prevent her from turning evil. Ooh, I love the theory. Honestly, because again, we haven't heard anything about her. Mabushina is relatively young. I feel like even in some of the flashbacks that we've gotten, honestly, when Mabushina is a kid, we still haven't seen her mom. So maybe it's something that happened, maybe during birth, maybe some sort of evil dark energy possessed her or something like that, maybe turned her mom to the dark side. So yeah, it's not a far-fetched theory, Shanique. So I kind of like that idea. We'll see what happens. We'll see what the true story is and how it all unfolds. But it probably could explain maybe the idea of Mabushina being cursed. Maybe this is something that her mom has sort of left behind. Something that happened to Mabushina. Who certainly knows? But I definitely do like that theory for sure. Supernaut also says, I really like this episode, probably the first episode in a while that I was most invested in. And I'll be honest with you, I really do think it's because some of the great nuggets of information that we wind up having in here, right? It really feels like we're building towards something. So I'm really glad that you enjoyed the episode, Not Ultra. Shiniko also says, I feel like the crown is going to influence her later on. Yeah, who knows what's going to happen if Mabushina decides to put that on, right? That looked like a pretty gnarly crystal or gem that was kind of chilling in the middle of that tiara. So we'll see what happens. Listen, when we looked at the Karame scans this past week, they did showcase a photo of the Queen of Planet Crystallia along with the evil version of Takamichi with the big red eyes on his helmet. So I am wondering if we'll get glimpses of the Queen of Crystallia in next week's episode. Like, I'm wondering if all that's going to go down in one gigantic episode itself. We'll have to see, though. Super Not Ultra says, so now that Takamichi's end game is revealed, I was right in the fact that he wanted to revive somebody, but also was different than I expected because I thought it was Orden, but it ended up being Mabushina. I mean, yeah, not necessarily revive, but I get what you're saying, that he's definitely using it for somebody else's purpose. It seems as though probably whatever curse might be on Mabushina, he's trying to go ahead and take down in order to protect him. But yeah, definitely not using the treasure for himself. So you're definitely right in regards to he's certainly using it for somebody. That's for sure. Where did the thing go? L'Oreal also says, I agree. Adam Juro is the coolest leader since Wright from Tokuger. Too bad Juro ain't my age, but sure as heck wouldn't mind giving that Ranger a kiss on the cheek. Yeah, I honestly love Juro as a leader. And for me, when I watch the show, I really feel as though he's rubbing off on a lot of people in regards to how to be true leaders. I mean, we've seen it from Cena's side of things, helping out. Who did she help out last week? I'm drawing a blank now. You guys remind me who she helped out last week. But then we also get the opportunity to see Takamichi, Tommy Tomo in here helping out Taka. I thought that was brilliant. Not Ultra says, my prediction is that Garza did something to Mabushina in Crystallia. Man, I love it. I love it. Again, this is like a Jerry Springer show, man. As deep and personal as some of this stuff is going down between this family affair, I love it. I really do. AJ says, all the Kiramager helmets look very similar to past Sentai PR seasons. Pink looks like Yellow Wild Force. Karame Yellow looks like Ninja Storm. Yellow and all with the black stash on the torso, like Wild Force. Good eye, good eye. Not Ultra also says, I really like the slow burn to Gigant Driller. It was definitely unexpected because I was expecting the treasure hunting leading to this the silver Karame stone, but I like that it wasn't that because then the resolution of Takamichi wouldn't have been as good. Yeah, the payoff, I agree, to the Gigant Driller was fantastic. Again, I love the fact that the pacing for this show seemingly really tends to work well for, to be honest with you. It seems like they're not in any rush, but they understand the importance of having to progress the story, every few episodes. I mean, honestly, when I look at the first 17 episodes, I feel like we got more in these first 17 episodes worth of Kiramager than we did like half of Real Soldier, to be quite honest with you. Again, I think the pacing is important, and we got some great storytellers on hand for sure. AJ says, asked a question, how big is Silver's morpher compared to the others? I have tried seeing a couple of the new episodes and from the first 10, but Kiss Asian likes to buffer. Yeah, when you're trying to do Kiss Asian, you got to deal with ads and buffering and things like that. Yeah, I usually download my stuff as far as like torrent files and things like that. But I feel like it's probably in comparison as far as like size-wise, because the Karame changers look like they're relatively big, like a gigantic circle. So while I don't necessarily think, I feel like width-wise, it may be about the same size, but it definitely has more height to it for sure than the Karame changer, I believe. But they may be about the same size, honestly. Not Ultra says, I think Garza just wants power over his family or just power in general, right? I mean, there is an underlining jealousy for King Oridan, his brother. The idea of like, why can't I get the power? Like, why shouldn't I be able to have the power just because he's older than me, right? Like, he really has an issue with how this a hierarchy, I guess you can say, from the idea of whoever's king and him being the brother. Like, if you're the oldest, clearly you become the king. That's just how it works, right? So there definitely is a sense of Garza doesn't like the way that this is playing out at all. He probably believes he's a better leader than his brother certainly was, and the fact that he's got sort of this jealousy that maybe he was like a year. I don't even know what the age difference is, but wouldn't that suck, dude, if you were like 3 months apart or like 6 months apart and your older brother winds up becoming king? And it's probably taken Garza down this really jealous and treacherous sort of mindset that he's willing to do anything now to kind of get that power that he certainly feels that he deserves, right? Whether or not Garza has actually earned it is a completely another thing. It's something that he feels he definitely deserves. So yeah, it's probably power over family. It's probably power over the universe. I feel like it could lead to that. You know what I mean? Just that little inkling of jealousy can certainly lead to a ton of bigger things. L'Oreal says, Jizo Lily, I hope to see more Mabushina's parents. I'm actually really ready for more insight for sure. Just seeing that scan of the image of King Oridan, the Queen, and Garza standing sort of side by side each other, I'm really ready to get into a flashback mode. I think they handle flashbacks really, really well in the show. Just adds a ton of depth, really allows us to kind of see the connections a little bit better. So please, if they want to give me like a whole episode of the past of Crystalia, I'll take it. I'll take it. AJ says maybe Mabushina's mother is human. That would be cool morale. You can have a parent who certainly looks different. I don't know if she's necessarily human, but I will say this: the one thing that I've brought up, especially when looking at Mabushina, is like their heads. When you look at them, clearly they're like helmets, right? Design wise, they're clearly look like helmets. They look like it's just on encased, like it's just encased around somebody's head. So I don't necessarily know if that's, listen, I don't know if that's just the how the production has done it, right? That Crystallians, that's just how they all look, right? Like that just could just be their look. Or who's to say that that's not a helmet? That's not sort of something that kind of keep what they really look like hidden, right? Like maybe that's something from a theme from Planet Crystalia. Maybe if you're born on that planet, everybody has to wear some sort of helmet that you're not able to see each other's identity. Who certainly knows? This is me just throwing out ideas and contemplating and things like that. So who knows, AJ, if that's true or not. But I do find it fascinating. I mean, I love the designs. I truly do. If that's just what they look like, that's great. But the fact that when you look at it visually, you can definitely tell that there's somebody clearly underneath it. I think it would be a trip if like within like the last 10 episodes of this season, Mabushina winds up taking her helmet off and it's like an adult person. Or like a kid person underneath there. I think that would be fantastic. Really great swerve, but who knows? Who knows? L'Oreal says, I hope Oridan is alive. He's got to be. Why do you think Juro's connection with him? That's the $1 million question, right? We see the connection between Juro and Oridan. We've seen that when Juro has been unconscious or whatever the case may be, he has made sort of connections with King Oridan that seemingly are still talking to him or giving him some insight. So whether that means Oridan is alive or he's been reincarnated, like spirit wise, is kind of hovering in Juro and making that connection. Who certainly knows? I feel like he's alive. I feel like he's alive, but we'll see. Alex says, do you think you know me well enough to know my theories now? Not quite, Alec. No, I don't like to try and guess other people's theories. I like to hear it from the horse's mouth itself, man. So if you got a theory on something, Alec, definitely go ahead and let us know. AJ says, I don't see not Ultra in the live chat. That's because he's talking to us from Twitch. He's on his Twitch account, setting in his thing. So if you're on Facebook, you're probably not seeing Super Not Ultra up there because he's sending in his stuff from our Twitch page. Pilip, what's up, Pilip? Appreciate you coming through. Says good morning. Hey, A plus. Thank you very much. Appreciate you spending your I don't know where you're at, but here in Texas, outside of Dallas, Texas, it's about 7:45 right now in the evening. So wherever you're at, I certainly hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, you said good morning, so you must be on the other side of the world. It's great to have international viewers here. So thank you very much, Pilip. AJ says, have we gotten a battleizer yet, either for Juro or anyone else? Not yet. I don't believe we've seen any power-ups. If we have, guys, let me know. Sometimes my memory goes. That's what happens when you get old. My mind's going. But no, I don't believe we had a power-up as of yet. Super Not Ultra says, yeah, they are progressing the series nicely, not so rushed like Real Soldier. And I didn't even feel like Real Soldier was that rushed. I felt like it was just boring through like 30 episodes, and then they was like they almost remembered, like, oh, we got story we got to tell. Let's do something with the Guy Sorg, and we'll throw Precious in here. Like, that's what it felt like to me, honestly. Like, they almost forgot they had a story that they had to go ahead and unfold, whereas this feels like it's a very well thought out season, to be quite honest with you. But again, guys, listen, that's just my thought. Like, if you guys followed us for our Real Soldier episode reviews, it was a task to certainly get through, man, to be quite honest with you. For me, at least. I will say this, I feel like some people that appreciate Real Soldier more are those that maybe binge watched it, that just watched it sort of full on, right? Instead of had to wait week by week like us, which was torturous at times. So for me, I just wasn't the biggest fan of Real Soldier, like, at all. But it's, every season is certainly for somebody. Somebody out there definitely appreciates that show. So if you do, more power to you for sure. Pilip says, I hope Juro's power-up form can be unique to the other Kiramagers. I missed how Shinkinger worked it out, the super mode, where the robe can be unique to everyone, so they can power up as well. Maybe a diamond armor, diamond Dude, I love the sound of that. A diamond armor, one of the toughest materials, right? I mean, if you're looking for an armor, why not something that's made out of diamond? I do love that idea. Diamond Kiramager Red, dude. I love that. Great idea. But no, we haven't gotten any power ups yet. But I gotta think one's coming. I don't know if they'll be able to top Max Real Soul Red from Real Soldier. Again, while I crap on Real Soldier, make no mistake, I love the action. I love the costume designs, and the Zords were incredible. Like, those were the great parts to me. It just really just fell flat when it came to storyline mode. But that Max Real Soul Red, effing sexy, man. I was about to drop the F-bomb. Effing sexy. I love it. So I'm hoping Juro can certainly come up with something else. Inspiration. What does it say? Inspirational? Insparkalization. Yeah, whatever, Juro. You keep saying it, Juro. I'm not even gonna bother. Let's see here. What else we got? AJ says, I can see the imagery of Mabushina taking off her head, revealing a human. Kind of creepy. I don't want to see that. Well, who knows? Maybe she's just like the cutest little thing underneath that helmet. You know what I mean? We have no idea. I mean, it would be creepy. Like, bro, I thought that was your head for the whole third of the season. And you're pretty much just taking your head off and now showing me somebody else underneath. So I get that creep factor, but who knows? Who knows what they look like if they are helmets? I have no idea. I'm just throwing out things out there. Not Ultra does say there's a toy listing for Go Karame Red, and a new mecha that apparently some type of Phoenix mecha. Oh, I'm so glad you told me that. I love Phoenix designs, dragon designs, and Phoenix designs. I'm a big fan of when it comes, especially for red. I cannot wait to see something like that. So maybe that's where that power up's gonna come. A Phoenix, I'm all in. I'm all in already. I haven't even said, but I'm all in. Shanique says, I still haven't finished Real Soldier. I got bored at episode 20 and stopped watching. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. If it wasn't for the fact that I had a YouTube channel, I probably wouldn't have finished that season either. But I had a commitment to get through an entire Super Sentai series, and we did just that. Again, it was brutal at times, but we certainly did. AJ says, I would love if during the last 10 episodes of Kiramager, one of the arcs is one of the Rangers are taken over or forced to use their powers for destruction. Maybe a villain captures or duplicates Juro with his drawing abilities. I don't really know. I mean, look, we got so far to go. So we don't really know what other villains are going to be popping up at this particular point in time. But listen, I'm loving Garza. Carantula, I mean, he's got her. I mean, he's got his moments, I guess. I mean, he's just there to send monsters down. But Garza's really the head honcho that I'm fascinated with. Whether or not there's going to be somebody even bigger that winds up coming out of this as a villain, who certainly knows. Like for me, just getting an opportunity to see Takamichi getting into sort of that villain or dark energy mode, I'm wondering how long that's going to happen for. I'm really fascinated to kind of see how long that's going to happen for. And if anything, I'm really fascinated to see what that conversation is going to be like between Garza and Takamichi. Is he going to be more like mind controlled by Garza? Because we know that Garza's, again, been really trying to tempt Takamichi as much as he possibly can to kind of come to his side. So I'm hoping that this lasts more than one episode. The idea of a Ranger coming in, like, I feel like for me, I'm so used to that idea of the extra Ranger coming in as villain and they turn him into good. I would be fascinated to see if this guy comes in as a good intentions and then turns into sort of an evil Ranger for a few episodes. I really hope it's not a one-off, to be quite honest with you. If it is, okay, it's great moment and stuff. But a part of me is kind of hoping, can we get this as like a 2-3 story, episode arc? I would honestly love something along those lines. But other than that, guys, I think that's probably going to go ahead and wrap it up for us here today. So thank you very much, guys, for certainly joining me for our Kiramager episode 17 review. It's always great coming here each and every Monday to go ahead and drop these review for you guys. So shout out to Overtime Subs for always coming through with their English sub stuff on a weekly basis, along with TV Nihon, which I think you usually have to wait a little bit later on in the week. I think they usually drop them like Wednesday or Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. But I do love the work that they do also as well. But guys, listen, again, at the end of the day, these are just my A+ opinions. I definitely want to go ahead and know yours. So whether or not you joined us for our live stream or watching this afterwards, still go ahead and let your thoughts be known on this week's episode in the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen. But other than that, that will do it for us here. We've got a couple other episode reviews for you guys later this week. We're going to be tackling Stargirl as we're getting closer to the end of that season. We've got Doom Patrol we're going to be reviewing for you guys also. The season finale is this week. And then we also have Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. coming to you from Indie later this week as well. And of course, we will be back with A+ More Phenomenal later on this weekend, Saturday at noon Central Time. So mark your calendars and definitely go ahead and like us here on our Facebook page to make sure that you guys go ahead and get those notifications. I'm probably going to also try and watch. I did watch a little bit of Real Soldier versus Lupin Pat versus or Real Soldier versus Lupin Ranger versus Pat Ranger. I did watch a little bit of it. I do have to finish it. So maybe we'll do a little bit of a review for that this weekend as well. So because I did see that the English subs did drop on TV Nihon for that also. So I'm going to go ahead and check that out. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for certainly joining me today and spending your Monday evening with us. So do us a big favor again. Feel free to follow us here on social media at A+ Opinions, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch. And until next time, do me a big favor. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And keep it A+. We'll talk to you later. Kiramager change!